Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on Series 11, Episode 8 of Doctor Who, entitled The Witchfinders. And from right out of the gate, the thing that I was reminded of when hearing this title for the first time about a week ago, when I first saw the preview for this episode attached to the previous, I was reminded inexplicably of the Gunfighters. It just has a similar ring to it. The Witchfinders, the Gunfighters. Of course, the Gunfighters being a classic Hartnell serial, which, as of the time of this recording, I have yet to ever see. I do eventually want to get it on DVD, but it couldn't be further removed from the time and place setting. We're talking about gunslingers in the Old West versus, as we see, Lancashire witch hunting, in this episode. And, boy, this episode was absolutely compelling to me. I'm still, after the initial watch, kind of teeter-tottering. I don't exactly know, do I love it or do I just like it? Because there were certain aspects of it that were a little corny, a little goofy, most notably Alan Cummings' King James. I thought his performance was relatively well done, but I couldn't help but see Weird Al Yankovic every time I looked at his face with the little mustache and the little goatee. And it kind of a little bit, especially because he was eating the scenery, playing this part. And so it was kind of over the top. And his coyness and his getting a little, friendly with Ryan and everything like that. It couldn't escape my mind that I was so thoroughly reminded of Weird Al Yankovic. And so it kind of undermined the drama and the tension just a tad, just a little bit for me watching his performance as King James. But everything else about this story struck me very much as being like cut from the same cloth as the gothic horror episodes of the Fourth Doctor era. Tom Baker when he's with Leela or whatever it is. I was thinking the Stones of Blood, Horror of Fang Rock, and Talons of Weng Chiang. That kind of feel, that atmosphere, that vibe was very much alive and palpable all throughout this particular episode. And I just found myself kind of on the edge of my seat because I couldn't really formulate. I wasn't exactly sure. I couldn't speculate as I'm watching what is going to happen, what is actually happening. Are there witches? Is it just, there's no aliens at all. It's just evil humanity once again, sort of under the microscope, or what's going on? And the biggest twist of all, when the Doctor herself gets captured as a witch by King James and she's, tied to the tree and they're going to dunk her and everything. I was suddenly just enraptured. I couldn't believe they had the cojones, the balls, to put the Doctor in that position. Now, if the Doctor had been yet another male guise, I'm sure he would have stirred things up, and I'm sure that would have brought down some trouble on them. But especially being that this is the first female iteration of the Doctor, it's the first time throughout Series 11 where it really became sort of a crux of a story, the focus of the story, and it became very much endangering to the Doctor. Of course, you have Graham, Ryan, and Yaz off doing their investigations and following these reanimated bodies and everything like that. And so the Doctor is literally by herself and having to try to convince King James and appeal to him, and with certain of her knowledge about him and everything, she's trying to reach him, extend that olive branch, and at first it seems like he is being persuaded, but he then sort of reacts as though he's being manipulated instead. You are a witch. You are using this information of who I am against me to try to persuade me over to your side and to let you go, and I'm not going to do that. I'm about quelling Satan and quelling evil and all this stuff. And I don't know how much of that is based on reality, with the legit King James. I don't know how closely this mirrors what he was like in real life, if at all, in any way, shape, or form. But it had me on the edge of my seat, and my mouth was agape, and I was just like, I cannot believe this turn of story where the Doctor has been captured as a witch and is potentially going to be put to death. There are times when I'm watching Doctor Who that I can get a kind of a generalized idea. I can speculate to where the story is going, what exactly is going to end up happening, and it becomes a matter of the execution for me. If I kind of have an idea of where a story is going, it depends on how they get there. It depends on how they, bring it about, how they carry it out. Whether or not I'll really enjoy it, or I'll feel like, no, it was too predictable, or, this, that, or the other thing. And with a story, with an episode like the Witchfinders, like this one, I just was out of my element. I didn't know what in the hell was going on. I least suspected that there would be some kind of alien influence, as we would see was the case in the end, because I thought it was strictly focusing on evil humanity doing evil things, evil twisted things in the history of our world and everything like that. I had begun to least suspect that there'd be any alien intervention or alien encounter to do with any of this. And I was just like, wow, you genuinely got me with this one. I did not see this coming. I didn't see any of the twists and turns in this story coming. I couldn't fathom, why these women were being put to death. I suspected the Lady Savage was, more than the sum of her parts, not necessarily related to any alien incursion or effect, manipulation or anything like that. I was waiting for the other leg to drop, for the reveal to make itself known as far as what was her motivation. The doctor pointedly started going after her and asking her, what are you hiding? You're hiding something. And even amidst all of that, I mean, we had gotten so far into the to the episode, even with the reanimated corpses and things like that, and the idea of witchcraft and everything. For whatever reason, everything that was going on, there was so much else going on, dealing with King James Oncoming, dealing with, the young lady Willa, and, trying to get to know her. And instantly, by the way, another great companion that never was in the history of Doctor Who is the character of Willa Twiston. I could do a whole video on that. And I would definitely love to see her along for, further adventures with the Doctor in time and space. But in any case, especially toward the end, because she sees the TARDIS leave and she's like ear to ear grinning like, oh yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, so all of the stuff that was going on in this episode it constantly had my brain going, like trying to figure out what's going on, questioning it, and this, that, and the other thing. So by the time you get the reveal that, oh, it is alien influence, they've been trapped, imprisoned on our planet for, a millennia or whatever it is, billions of years, and they finally started to break free because the woman cut the tree down, and, it infected her, and they're coming after her to free their king, and all of this stuff. Like, there was just so much going on that I was completely blown away, flabbergasted by all of this. I can't put it in any other real satisfying way other than to say it was a legitimate surprise for me by then. I know people are going to probably check me in the comments and be like, I hated this episode, and it's because it was too predictable, I saw it coming, and this, that, or the other thing. People who have to be antithetical to anything positive I say about Doctor Who in general, lest Series 11 itself. And Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, who was fantastic in this episode once again. I loved, by the way, talking about character beats, I loved the whole dynamic with Graham and Ryan having to deal with King James and sort of be the Witchfinder General and all of that kind of stuff. And King James getting, as I said earlier in the video, getting a little bit close to Ryan and such like that, wanting him to be his protector. He actually formally requests it in the end. But I think my favorite character beat in the episode was when Yaz went to find the Willa character. And she relates that story from her past, where she had the year from hell. Not literally hell, as she's quick to point out, but she just had to grin and bear being bullied and go to school and keep up with it. I think it was like elementary school or something like that. And of course, what Willa is dealing with is literally a life and death thing. Either she can tuck tail and run, or there's a chance she might actually be put to death. So it's a little bit more strenuous for the Willa character. But I really appreciated Yaz's relating that story, because that's part of the characterization I feel is missing with the Yaz character. Even in the episodes that are sort of Yaz-centric, where her family plays a large role, her family gets a little more, characterization than she does. She has things to do, but having things to do is not analogous to actually having depth of character, that kind of thing. And even in like Demons of the Punjab and everything like that, we're dealing with her family, and those characters are really written much more resonatingly than Yaz is. There were some moments where, like Graham is speaking to Yaz about, we should be enjoying where we are, when we are, you're getting to meet your gran before she's ever even remotely anything like the person and it should almost be like celebratory, and those little character beats. I'm glad we actually finally had a character beat with Yaz being the central focus and trying to relate to an incidental character like the Willa character. And I long for more of that with Yaz. We've gotten a lot of that with Graham and Ryan, with the loss of the woman mutually between them, Graham's wife and Ryan's gran, and there have been a lot of really emotional, dramatic moments where they've called back on that, and there have only been maybe 2 or 3 throughout the course of Series 11 thus far that we've had with Yaz relating to what she's gone through in her life. In the Rosa episode, she and Ryan commiserate about how they've been racially mistreated and discriminated. And similarly, as an extension of that, is the line of dialogue that Yaz reveals to Willa in this episode, and such like that. I just want more of these quiet, somber, almost soliloquy moments with Yaz to get to know her as a person, as a character. Because I feel like that's been largely glossed over, much more so with her character than Ryan and Graham, with the losses they've sustained and how they're just trying to keep on going, and Ryan with his disgruntled relationship with his father, his birth father, and everything like that. And we just haven't heard from Yaz enough, so I really appreciated that in this episode. Again, one of my favorite character beats with one of the main cast of, companions, friends, travelers, fam, as the Doctor went to try to call them again in this episode, which failed spectacularly. But so yeah, I mean, overall, I enjoyed the hell out of this episode. I still don't know if it's elevated up to like a Rosa, Demons of the Punjab, where it was so emotionally investing and shocking and just left me, completely and totally wowed. Watching this episode, it was absolutely compelling. I felt like I had popped in a classic series DVD from straight out of the Gothic horror era of the Fourth Doctor era, as I say. And I didn't know which way the story was going to be turning. It took so many twists and turns, and just with everything that was going on, I couldn't really formulate or speculate the direction it was going and whether aliens were going to be involved or anything like that. And because of just a couple little scenes here and there, and not being able to look at Alan Cumming as King James and not see Weird Al Yankovic, certain aspects of the drama were undermined. But, I mean, it was... Altogether, it was a spectacular episode, even with all that said. But at this juncture, now I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of Series 11, Episode 8 of Doctor Who, The Witchfinders, if you've seen it, if you enjoyed it, love or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Of course, be respectful of other people's opinions. Don't put anybody on blast if you happen to disagree. And just share your thoughts overall. The performances, the story, the scope of it. Was it predictable? Were you utterly surprised by all the twists and turns as I was? All that good stuff. And if you would like to consider supporting my channel, that would be 2 thumbs up for me. I would ask that you please have a look at my PayPal contribution link posted both in the description as well as the comments below, where you can explore options as far as setting up a monthly contribution, a one-time only contribution. Or you can send me a personal message alongside a contribution requesting topics I may discuss in the future, as well as shout-outs and things of that nature. And it would just go a long way to secure my longevity on YouTube and be a direct line to me. And it would be very much appreciated if you took the time to check that out. So yeah, otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.